Welcome to what we believe is episode 10 of the 602 Rose Show. This is a week 7 recap. No week 8 picks. Rose League is taking the week off in order to not score the Men Tell All, which is a horrible TV and no one should watch live, but feel free to watch on Hulu. So, week 7 recap. We're going to get right into it here. Um, Up on your screen, as always, you see just a quick breakdown of the scoring. Week 7 picks for us were identical. And for a lot of people, it becomes very obvious here how people are going to do and move on. One of the things that we were really excited watching early was whether or not Rodney was going to outscore Brandon.
Yes.
And by the end of the episode, with Rodney losing points for leaving and Brandon getting points for getting a rose, the it ended up being a lot wider than it really was on paper. They were neck and neck for a long, long time, and it looked like we might be able to steal points somewhere. But at the end of the day, Chuck moved on. Nate, Brandon, Joe. You see the week 7 overall results there. Megan and I with the exact same lineup, the exact same number of points, 199. 199 was a perfect score this week. You couldn't have done better than that. Rodney scored the least. Rose Show rankings up on the screen there. I held at 17 overall. Megan somehow slid to 55th. I think we might have just not had it updated last week. It might be a week over week thing.
I was 56 last week.
Okay,
So
so up to 55.
up to 55.
You'll see they're the top five for the house league. Just outside of 1,000 points for red there. Everybody else up over a grand now. That should continue to scale up. So great job by everyone in the home league there. Megan, did you have anything for fantasy scoring in general?
I don't think so. No, I mean it's pretty straightforward at this point, as long as you are continuing to make picks.
Yeah, make your picks for sure. Understand that the chalk is the chalk. I would not be shocked if people split their lineups a little bit for the next episode up, which again will be 2 weeks from now. We'll do a picks episode later in the week. Big three things. Megan, you want to open with your favorite?
Yeah. So one of my favorites this week, and I decided to call it my favorite, was the editing going in. So the previews, again, we've been talking about the editors a lot this season, but they have done a very sneaky job a couple times this season with previews and trying to make there look like there's drama when there's not drama. And they did that coming into this episode. So they made it very much seem like the Nate piece of the episode was going to be very negatively dramatic, where like he and his dad might be in a fight, right? Like it was like this whole thing, and then it ended up just being this really like cute sentimental moment. And it was like very different than they had presented it going into the episode. So that was my favorite part. Is just again the editing and what the editors are doing.
Yeah, all that drama ended up to almost be a throwaway one line, and then some really staged family bonding that happened there. But
Yeah,
hey, and that's their job, and they keep people interested. So,
right.
certainly nothing wrong with that. Uh,
Right.
my favorite was Michelle deciding she needed to reuse the line "Who you are is enough" when sending someone home.
Yeah.
Um, in this case, it was Rodney. She used it on Clayton as well. No, I don't like you. You can get out of here, but you are enough, just not enough for me. So I think that's wonderful that it happened once and that it happened twice in almost as many episodes is fantastic.
Well, especially because like you just hate that line.
I really do because it's so hollow, and I'll actually take that opportunity to segue into my least favorite, which is Rodney saying, "I'm always gonna care about you, Michelle." Um, which and now the name's escaping me, and of course I don't have it written down. But the kid from Katie's season who wrote her the letter, and then
Andrew,
yeah,
Andrew S.
Andrew S. Yes, and and then she broke up with her buddy, and guess who's not interested? Months later, Andrew S. So yeah, as soon as you leave this bubble, I imagine everything changes for everyone just based on the returns we've seen. So Rodney having that line for her as he was leaving, just Rodney, you're better than that. We like you.
we do like Rodney. He's a sweetheart. I didn't mind that line because he didn't say like I'll always love you. He just said that I'll always care about you. And so for me, like I was okay with that. Like you can care about someone and not want them in your life or never talk to them again, and that's fair. Like I feel like Michelle probably will always have like a special place in his heart, just given this experience they've shared.
This just reminds me of like summer camp where you meet someone and you're like, oh, this is my person. I'm gonna care about you always. And then like, we didn't even have cell phones at the time. So as soon as you like lost that landline number, it's like, yeah, who?
Sounds like there might be a lot of camp girls out there looking for you.
They'll never find me.
My least favorite part of this episode was Nate's family calling him Nathaniel the entire segment. That was because Nate is not a Nathaniel. Like he's just not. Um, and yeah, so I didn't like that.
We had to pull up his full name because I couldn't remember. They started calling him Nathaniel, and I remembered he had like a really like authentic African name,
Hmm.
and I will butcher it just for the fans here.
Okay.
Babaunde Ubafemi Robert Nathaniel Ulakoya.
That I mean, like that sounded really pretty.
So when they started calling him Nathaniel, I'm like, I got it. I think this is the guy that had like this full name that he introduced himself as, and we had to go back and find it, and surely it was. Um, but yeah, that was kind of striking seeing them refer to him by a name that really doesn't suit the
No,
character he's built.
no. Well, not even like the character that he's built, but like the person that he is. um, you and I can go back and forth on
Yep, gonna leave that alone.
on that part. But okay, what was your surprise? What was your surprise?
My surprise, and I'll say surprise while allowing for the fact that we knew this was going to happen. It was the hometown dates that had nothing to do with the guys. I get that she poured her heart out and was never taken to prom and never went to the apple orchard. Um, but unless Joe never went to prom, which he
He
kind of
did.
like alluded to,
He
I'm
said that
not.
he'd never been to prom.
Yeah, I'm not buying that. And I know Rodney's been to a damn apple orchard before, but regardless, like the whole point of hometowns is to like show them a part of you.
Yeah,
You're spending a maximum of like 8, 9 weeks with this person, and then you're supposed to be in love and proposing.
yeah,
This is their only opportunity to curate completely for themselves who they are, present it in a nice little package. And so, even though I think those two dates were the better dates,
hmm,
I was a little surprised that the guys didn't take the opportunity to inject a little bit more of themselves into it. Rodney had her blind taste test for the fifth fucking time at an apple orchard because she'd never gotten to go pick apples, and it's just
yeah,
it didn't feel to me like the best use of time. In hindsight, being 2020, but Rodney going home, it's like, oh
yeah,
well, maybe if you had shown her more of your heart, like more of who
yeah,
you are, maybe you'd still be there.
yeah.
So that
And
was
I
a
think that
surprise.
like I really liked Brandon's date for that same reason because like he very much tried to like share with her a hobby that he has, right? And that's important to him and his family. And so like I appreciated that date a lot because of that.
He's a real bad skateboarder.
Yeah. I mean he's what I would be probably.
What was your surprise?
My my surprise was how much Michelle and Joe both remember about high school. Like as both of them gave tours of their high schools, like saying like, oh yeah, this is my locker. This is like, like this is where the science wing is. And I was like, I could not have told anyone any of those facts about my high school. Like I've just like blacked out and like forgotten all those memories. So yeah, their memory of location within their high school was my surprise.
You don't think if they dropped you back in, you'd be able to figure it out in a couple hours?
I mean, like I would, but like, well, one, I'm never gonna take someone to my fucking high school because like because I have very much grown and changed just since high school. Um, but also, like, I don't know. I mean, like, I could, but like, does it really matter that much to me? No.
The locker seemed very short. we had like floor to ceiling full size lockers in my high school, and so like those mini half lockers, they were just very odd.
I think we had, I think we had half half lockers.
I was just
We
trying to get you to
really,
remember some of it.
we never used our lockers was the issue in high school. We just all carried backpacks.
All right, moving on. That's super weird.
Why?
That's just
Never
weird.
mind. Never mind.
All
Not
right,
part of this episode.
Michelle,
Yeah.
shown here in her beautiful rose ceremony gown.
I loved it.
Yes, I was blown away by it.
I want to wear that dress.
I've been very critical of her clothing in a very superficial way, and this dress I really liked.
Yeah, that's like my kind of a dress.
Uh, my biggest thing on Michelle was that "who you are is enough" line for the second time. That I was howling at it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Um, she was wearing a ring on her ring finger, which I thought was very, very strange for a show like this. A thousand reasons you wear a ring on your ring finger as a woman, married, single, otherwise, whatever. It was very prominent and it was very strange. And that's all I really had on Michelle.
Yeah. Honestly, I love wearing rings on my ring finger, mostly as like a fuck you to all the older generations who are very superstitious about it. So I did not notice that, but um, I one of the things I had was that Michelle only told Brandon that she was falling for him. I don't think she told any of the other guys that. At least not that I caught. And so I might have to go back and edit that one, but not that I caught. But she definitely said it to Brandon. And yeah, that was kind of all that I had.
And just a note for the viewers here, these are gonna get shorter and shorter over the next 2, 3 episodes here. Especially because we're trying to focus from a fantasy standpoint. There's almost no takeaways that matter at this point. You're gonna pick chalk. We know who wins. We're working on Clayton's season, so these will get a little bit shorter and more manageable from a viewing standpoint. Um, so we'll start with Rodney, who was eliminated.
Yeah,
Uh, Megan, I'll let you go. You've kind of been championing Rodney for a long time here.
I do like Rodney. Um, they didn't really show that much of his date. Like Brandon's date itself got more screen time. I think Brandon and Joe's felt like they got the most screen time as far as like the individual like one-on-one dates. It was interesting, just like the change. So when Michelle was talking to Rodney's parents, she used the word, "I could see him being my life partner," versus with Brandon, with a lot of the other guys, it was, "I could see him being my soulmate." And so for me, like already like at that, like when I heard life partner versus soulmate, for me, like it already was a cue that he might be going home, just and that there was a different type of connection there just because of that language switch. Um, I did appreciate, I hadn't really made the connection that maybe one of the things that they had bonded over was feeling unseen, or feeling like people had looked them over in the past. And so I appreciated like hearing that, especially because I think this season we haven't gotten a lot of like conversations from Michelle and the guys. Like we haven't really heard a lot of like their personal stories outside of one-on-one dates. And so just to get that connection was just nice. But
I didn't have a slide prepared because I hadn't thought of it, but I pulled up Bachelor data really quick for you. Rodney was the shortest, then Joe, then Brandon, then Nate. So good measure there. You hit it pretty much dead on.
yeah. Well, it's
For
also, well, and I wonder if batch data, and I don't know if they say it in there, was focused on like the entire segment, like including like one-on-one time plus family, or if they're just looked at one-on-one time.
it's those that's specifically for the whole thing. All right, a little bit of a technical glitch there. We'll see what kind of horrible problems that causes in post. Um, yeah, so we're talking about the difference between the one-on-one dates and the family time. Though that bachelor data is all in.
Yeah. Yeah, because it seemed like Nate's family time was longer, obviously, because he had his emotional time with dad. But yeah, okay, interesting.
All right. All I had for Rodney was that his stepdad was totally not buying the whole Bachelor experience, which is, by the way, people, the normal reaction to have. This show's
Yeah,
preposterous. And then Rodney saying, "I just want to be your person."
yeah,
So that's all I had on Rodney.
yeah.
Brandon, you could have put 20 dudes in a room, lined them all up against the wall, and I could have picked out Brandon's brother.
I don't know if I could have.
They have the exact same personality. Exact. They didn't look physically that
Yeah.
similar. They have the exact same personality and mannerisms. I just that's the only thing I took away. That's literally the only note I have is about his brother and like, oh, that's Brandon's brother.
I think it's I think it's super interesting. Just the different families too. Because I think Brandon's family, it seemed like to Michelle felt much more like her family. Like it felt like coming home. Like there was like that same like love and support and like communication, and they enjoy the same activities like fishing. And it felt like versus some of the other families, like she just fit in really well there. And like was smiling the whole time, like she was laughing with them, like already like joking around and having like casual conversations. And again, like we don't know what was cut from the other dates, but she definitely seemed the most relaxed with Brandon's family.
All right, moving to Joe. I have no notes outside of what we've already talked about.
I have his fucking dance moves. Just need to be called out as man. He like maybe needs um, just some weed, kind of chill out a little bit, relax his body. He's so stiff all the time. Um, I do enjoy his opening up of feelings, and being able to talk about them. I mean, like obviously we have an idea of who gets sent home next. And I think again, like comparing these last three guys, right? We have Brandon, Nate, and Joe. Joe is the one who's least likely to express himself emotionally. He's also the most quiet, the most stoic. He's the one that Michelle maybe has to work the hardest to like engage with. And he has just a very different energy than Nate and Brandon have. And I think that that's just important to point out.
Well, I didn't think you're going to have so much to talk about boring Joe, so I'll go ahead and drop this in here. I think Joe self eliminates.
Interesting.
So we can get into that more when we film our pick show. But I think he self eliminates.
Interesting.
All right, moving on to Nate.
What do you have?
I have nothing on Nate. I have been bored to tears by Nate and I have no notes. No fantasy relevant notes for Nate.
I have that, maybe just like for me personally, if you're in a family that never talks about feelings and that you've never talked about girls or like who you like or like relationships with your family, and you're in your late 20s, to me, that's a red flag. Like if it's taking you going on a dating reality show to be able to tell dad that you love him for the first time, that feels like a red flag to me.
Stepdad.
Stepdad, but yeah, but the dad, like the person that he considers, like that he wants to model his own fatherly role as.
Fair. Yeah,
So
he's really tall.
yeah, he's really tall. I mean, yeah, he is. Yeah.
So that's all we had for kind of cast recap. You'll see up on the screen the season long scoring. Uh, with the people who are left, there's a lot of similar scores coming in. So Myra and myself tied on top of the leaderboard, still ahead of the weekly picks. Um, Megan just a little bit behind. Adam and Kendall rounding out the top five. So you'll see these really start to spread as the people who don't have the final three, final two, final one will fall off this leaderboard. Haven't gone entry by entry yet to see who the candidates for that are, but obviously, our picks, these should be essentially locked first to third at this point, unless we missed something incredible. But anything short of Nate not winning, these are pretty much locked. So great job to everybody for season long. That's all I have for the Rose Show today. Again, we won't do picks in this episode. We'll do a shorter picks episode for picks week 8, Bachelorette week 9. We'll kind of sort out the numbering there. Next week is the Men Tell All, which will not be scored for Rose League, but may be scored for your different scoring system game. So make sure you take a look at that. I know obviously season long is going to count anything that happens on camera. Some of the other scoring systems will only score new footage and not like live studio footage. So just understand that. There's a couple scoring systems. There's also an opportunity to plug in guys who've been eliminated. So you really want to focus screen time. Rodney, Clayton, any early favorites. Sometimes the villains get some runs. So check out your scoring system. Make sure you understand that. But no, for the games that we're playing and talking about on this show week to week, there are no picks for this next upcoming week. Again, I can't emphasize enough. Don't watch live. It's just 2 hours of your time you'll never get back. Wait until Wednesday and watch the condensed version on Hulu, and you'll be more happy with yourself than you would be otherwise. Did you have anything else for this week, Megan?
No, just like and subscribe, guys.
All right, thanks for watching Rose Show. We'll catch you guys next time.